Hey, how's it going?
What's up?
Just waiting for
Ha-
everybody. Just chilling.
Nice.
So this is your Zoom name?
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm logged in on this computer.
Everybody's like, yeah, I'll
I
be
think
there. I'll be there. It's just us. Maybe some
who
people
said that?
aren't coming in till 5. I don't know, or 8 or whatever. No, I mean,
Yeah,
I had people
I
DM
just
me.
shared
So
I just shared the link, so I'm sure it'll be a few minutes.
yeah, bro, that penguin thing popped the fuck off. Holy shit.
I saw that. Did you make a flip?
Oh, bro, like I bought it like 0.17 last night, a shit ton of them. Flipped them for two soul this
Oh
morning.
shit, damn, that's awesome.
Oh, I
Yes,
saw
so
the
literally talking
momentum.
about it. I was gonna go buy them and then I got busy and faded them.
Yeah, I think they were just so ugly that you had to make a decision there, right? It's like, are these gonna pop off, or are people just not gonna be interested
Bro,
in like they're that ugly that people would be interested? What's up?
somebody randomly just DM me. You're gonna have to cut this out of the recording. Somebody just DM me, hi, not much time left. It will be sure. I can get you on a whitelist for the new drop. Yesterday we dropped Penguins, same developers. Oh my God, Web3 is crazy.
What is the new one? What's the new one they're dropping?
I'm about to find out. I don't know.
Tell them, hook it up, man.
Okay, that's a free mint.
I'll send you the recorder. You can chop it up.
No, I'm not chopping shit up. Luna, shh.
Hold on, don't you have somebody to chop it for you? I guess you don't want them to hear it either. That's a good
I
point.
don't care. Stop. Get down. Sit down.
So same dev from Penguins is gonna do the
It's
same
probably
shit.
bullshit to be honest. People be talking shit. I don't know how. Let's see. I'm about to send it to her anyway.
What she won? Your wallet?
Yeah. She said there's a few minutes until the mint. Um,
Is this
how was your
somebody you
weekend
know?
though? I know her personally, but she doesn't know much about. Stop. She doesn't know much about this type of shit.
That's
That's why.
crazy.
What are you talking about?
Soul Zukis are gonna take over, bro. These people are nuts.
Solzukis.
Yeah, I already got a couple of those too.
You should throw them in the chat in the DGen shitter chat.
I could. I didn't know like if you wanted me to put them in there and I that's why I didn't.
There's a,
Yeah.
that's why we have channels for the
Okay,
for
okay.
shitters.
Yeah, I'll post them in there. Bro, this is like Fat Zuki summer. I don't know if you
That was
remember that.
yeah, I remember that. That was bad though. That was a very, very quick dump.
It was. I well, here's the thing. I almost can bet you these will probably end up the same way at some point.
Yeah.
That's why it's hard to tell people like, hey, let's all get these. And then you're gonna have people like, hold. It's like, no, sell.
No, I
Help.
mean you just say quickly what it is. Yeah.
It's like a 10x, bro. Get in, get out. You got a 10x, be happy.
Where's that link?
I woke up this morning, it was like fucking two soul. I was like rubbing my eyes. I was like, really? Like somebody ran these things at the two fucking soul. I was like, oh, I'll start dropping these in. I thought I was gonna get like half a soul, maybe a soul.
Stop. Stop. That's good. Two is crazy. I didn't realize it ripped that much.
Yeah, well, no, it ripped almost to three. I just slept when it was 3.
Mm.
People are sleeping on the collection, and now it's gonna. The thing is like, if the guy Penguin or whatever the fuck his name is stays on top of this, it could do some stuff. Because I feel like he did catch the attention of the Penguin community. Oh, Pierre connecting audio. Hey, we're just waiting for a couple more people to get in here, Pierre, and then we'll probably get started. I just don't want to backtrack and just start filling up, and then people, hey, what's that? And it's like, yeah,
No,
we
you're
already
good.
talked
It's
about
still
it.
early. Still early.
Yeah, this stuff's it's getting interesting though, because like you're getting like bottom of the barrel content that's popping off, which is making me think that it's going to rotate back up again, and that's going to push Bitcoin right back up again.
For me, man, I've always been about just stacking the bag for my kids, right? Like, I've been investing since 2016, and I've never been a gambler, bro. I just can't do it. And right now, I'm just looking to well position my kids for the next decade. You know what I mean? Even if it's $5, $10 at a time. Uh, but I just need more knowledge, man. I feel like I spent too much time listening to ignorant ass people, and I wasted 3 years, man. I wasted 3 years. And that's why I really do appreciate, like, we're not in front of a space, you guys, right now. Like, people aren't like, I'm really like wholeheartedly telling you how much I appreciate this shit. I really do take notes. I really soak this shit in, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is something me and Profits are talking about behind the scenes, and she's asking me, what can we do to make this happen? I'm like, I'm just here, to help out. That's it, man. Just tell me when and where.
Right
Make
on,
it
man.
happen.
Right on, man. And yeah, time is, bro. Time is very precious. So thank you again.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like we still have a lot of time too, though. I think like so many people are underestimating that we do have time. And so because we have time, like, this is only going to benefit people more moving into the bull. It'll help us see the bullshit when we get to the top.
No, for sure, for sure. And it's crazy. And I know I've said this before, but what for me, it's when I start seeing ATMs that are solely for Bitcoin popping up in areas where Bitcoin isn't even a discussion. To me, it opens up my eyes to, like, okay, money is being invested into these things for a reason. These stores aren't just buying these machines for no reason. And again, I want to learn more, and I'm excited.
Yeah, for sure. And that's how people should be. People should be happy to gain knowledge. Johnny's been around. I've seen you a lot. I didn't know you were in profit space. That's interesting. Um, did you see this thing with Thread Guy Profits?
No.
He said sexual tension between me and the Node Monkeys intern is unreal. And then Min said, I think it's a dude. And then that guy said irrelevant. And he said 45. He said no, more like 47. He said,
Yeah.
These
Super
fucking
weird.
guys, bro. Almost some weird shit. Where's that one? Hold on, I want to show you
What's
this.
up, Will?
How's it going,
What's
man?
up, Profits? Thanks for having me in.
Hey,
Appreciate it.
Yeah, no
what's
problem.
up?
Not much, dude. I've been with you all since like Alex's back in the day. So yeah, good to hear y'all.
Oh man,
Yeah.
nice. How's it hanging? Excited for the bull
Not
market?
bad. Yeah, man, just getting in there, trying to get all my positions ready, and just been following Will and listening to your guys' faces as much as I can, trying to stay steady.
Yeah,
Hey, how do you guys feel about XRP in all seriousness with everything that's happened over the last few years and then being so undervalued because of this lawsuit?
I mean, we can get into XRP charts. I think that's always the ultimate thing there, right? At the end of the day, is like, does the chart speak the price? Does price speak the chart? And if you can't get the two to come together and coincide, then it is what it is.
Well, something I noticed, you guys, is Stellar and XRP were the only two cryptos that didn't actually go their all-time high this last cycle, and
Mm.
that really interested me. And I'm gonna be super transparent. I caught XRP at a couple of cents, and I was able to stack cents, and that's my biggest bag. And I don't want to sell because I personally think something big's about to pop because they were the only ones that didn't go their all-time high yet, which I think XRP was like $3.80 something cents. So I'm just curious to see what everybody's thoughts was on that.
Well, I'll give you a piece to look up. Look up like Let me think about what I think it would be under. It's because I don't remember the exact quote, but look up like the bouncing ball theory with with charts, right? And I'll give you a little bit of an outlook on like the bouncing ball theory. So basically, cycle after cycle, years over years, if an asset continues to underperform year over year and cycle over cycle, in crypto, I would just say cycle over cycle. What you're probably looking at is a dying asset versus an asset that's going to break out significantly. But the way I look at XRP specifically for this cycle, my thesis is this is boom or bust for XRP. If XRP cannot exceed previous all-time highs, XRP is dead, right? And a lot of people will not be willing to accept that, but that's the way I would take it. I don't know if that helps or not, but like that's my thoughts on it. Like this is the cycle where XRP has to shine. It has to do it here, especially with the whole sec win.
No, and actually, I'm glad you said that, Will, because that's what was my biggest question, I guess. It's because they haven't performed like every other coin where, they go to their all-time highs and then they consolidate. Is that telling me like I've seen my top? I should just go ahead and I know not financial advice, but should I take my profits now or should I give it one
Oh
more go
no,
for the
no, bro.
cycle?
Like this is you're gonna profit this cycle, right? It's just does it boom or does it bust? And what I mean by bust, does it form a lower high or is it able to break above previous highs? And so you're gonna profit even more prices at right now. I don't think we're gonna go into a full on bull run and you're not gonna see it run in addition to everything else. So like if you got it at 2 cents, just ride it out and see what happens. And if it can't perform this cycle, I'd probably rotate my bag to something else. I would just put it that
Yeah,
way.
I was gonna say that next. Like some things you got to full trip again. Next year, quarter four is where I expect a lot of things to hit all time highs again. And I mean, not to call out price or anything, but it's one of those situations where if you're willing to write out the next 2 years and investments like that, then that's the conversation you have with yourself. Sometimes rotating out and getting into other things is not a bad idea. But then again, if you're still learning the market too, then sometimes the best thing is to just hold your positions
Yep.
and you know and stack, right? Cash flow, more money, make more money, try to make more money.
No, I appreciate
Two more
that.
and then we're gonna start. Will, you're gonna share a screen, right?
Yeah, yeah, of course. I mean, or we could sit
Okay.
here and talk to each
He's
other.
like,
No, I'm just
duh.
joking.
He's like, duh, of course we are. Nah, but yeah, 2 more minutes and we're gonna share. Thank you guys for tuning in. What's up, Six? What's up, Johnny? Uh Pierre, see you guys. Happy Saturday. We'll get started in a second.
Yeah, I think we had some other people trying to get in. I think they were having issues or technical difficulties. Not everybody knows how to use Zoom. I get it. I get it.
No, and then also you gotta download it, but we use this so we can record, but they'll be okay. It's not that.
Yeah, that's why we're using it primarily for recording. Just so we don't get the whole, hey, can we go back and talk about this? And then people get upset. It's like, nah, go back to the recording and you can listen to it.
What's up, y'all? What's going on? Good shit, man. Good motherfucking shit. How's it going? Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday. This man is a vampire. I know he's only been awake for 3 hours. How you doing, Six?
I'm fantastic. I'm on my way back to the house. Shit, I've been running around all day. But yeah, been trading and DJing late night. Fuck. When sleep? That's what I want to know. Not when moon. When sleep?
You can't sleep now, man. Oh man.
I feel like what the fuck? I didn't sleep before, bro. Then now it's like all bad.
I would have
Oh,
never caught the moves I made in the past couple days if I didn't stay up till like 3 a.m. That's the unfortunate part.
what you been getting into?
Bro, I flipped like
3 a.m. PST?
yeah, 3 a.m. Yeah, my time. Yeah.
Gosh, that's insane.
No, I flipped a couple NFT projects literally for like 10x
Dude.
plus.
Listen, there's a big Solana shitter narrative right now. It's a lot of people that used to launch contracts on ETH. They're doing it on Sol. There's a
Mhm.
group of them. So
Yep.
we just gotta stay vigilant. Don't get attached to anything.
Yeah, I definitely like you get your exes, get in, get out. Like this. Don't round trip that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the thing that people make mistakes on is round tripping.
I think that's my biggest issue, you guys, is because okay, like for example, XRP, I only have 2,500 of them. I know that's not a huge bag, but for me it is, right? And I'm hoping that my little bags like that can be a nice life-changing thing for my kids where we can get out of here, be in the nicer neighborhoods, so on and so forth. So I guess that's why I really try to find, now that I'm much more educated in the space, I'm kind of staying away from NFT projects, and I'm really just trying to focus more on crypto like I was in 2016, because I feel like when I hopped into NFTs, I just got wrecked and I lost everything. And now I'm just like tied into a few communities I believe in, but it's more so for the IP that I want to use for myself. But right now I'm just about crypto, and I'm trying to learn and depends everything Scott's been talking about. Like I think that's super interesting, but I think crypto is what I'm going to be focusing on primarily.
Yeah, Depend should get you there for sure. Like that's like if you're looking for solid projects with like things that you can buy and hold, like you're looking for like real stuff, right? Some stuff that has real use case behind it. If you're looking for shit and somewhere to like maybe flip some profits, you're looking for like these fat Zuki type plays and other ridiculous plays that nobody's gonna hold, everybody's gonna cheat at some point.
No, and that's mostly the thing on Solana, man, because of how low the transaction fees are. It's very easy for people to mass mint and then just start flipping. And everybody says they're for the community, but we all see it. Hyped up ints, mint price goes up, secondaries go high, and then all of a sudden 3 days later they dump. And yeah, I spent 3 years doing that, and I'm not doing it again. Like grinding for whitelists on Discord and this and that. Like I lost so much time, not only like in the space, but with my family. And
We
Yeah.
off that. Will, check your DM. All right, we're about to start. Check your DM on Discord. Take your notes out, all that good stuff. It's gonna be super beginner slash allowing you guys to ask questions as well. This is the first one, first of many. There'll be quite a few. There'll be different styles of them as well, but I just figured break the ice and at least get something started so we can get you guys on the same page. There's a lot of perceptions of investing and the way we buy things and why we do and things of that nature. The most consistent thing that you can learn is the chart. If you figure out the chart, everything comes second nature. News, events, the fucking narrative, chats, all that shit almost doesn't even matter. It helps, but it almost doesn't matter. So that's the point of this. But yeah, Will, you can go ahead and get started. everybody just stay on mute. And if you have a question, raise your hand and be polite, and we'll go from there. Go ahead. Thank you, Will.
Yeah, no worries. For those of you who aren't aware, I'm Will. No, I'm sure. But I'll be hosting today. Well, promise
And
to be
his
hosting.
and his fucking look at his mic works perfectly too. Absolutely.
That's because this is my computer mic. So it's yeah, it's the play. Here's so we'll get into trading view a little bit. I feel like I like to discuss a few things. I know a lot of people, they like to get in and be like, what indicators do you use? What this, what that? And it's like, I know a lot of people like to talk about those things, but I don't feel like they really matter as much when you're not really knowing what's going on, if that makes sense. So the most important thing is to always know what's going on versus, hold on one sec. Oh, okay, yeah. Know what's going on versus trying to get in here and figure out what indicator is going to make you $1 million, because that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's going to be your indicators are basically going to more or less help you, right? They're going to help you make decisions, but they're not there to make decisions. And I think that's where a lot of people get confused with a lot of this. The most important thing is to always understand your candlesticks and kind of what's going on with your candlesticks, because that'll tell you kind of where price is going, and where you should be looking for entries, where you should be looking for exits, yada 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 yada. You know all the stuff, all the good stuff. So we'll kind of take it down to the daily, but I always tend to like, and you guys will see this on the show normally and stuff like that when I'm up there. I'm usually talking about monthly, so on and so forth, because monthly, it's really your indication of market direction. And then once you get that market direction, you can then take your price ranges and look for where price can head to, right? Where the swing is going to head to, and so on and so forth. Then after you get on the monthly, you can dial it down to your weekly, and then you can dial it down to your daily. And if you're trading even smaller time frames, you can even come down to your smaller time frames, and you could be like, all right, this is my 4 hour. But what the monthly is going to help you dictate, and the weekly, and so on and so forth, what is going to help you dictate is it's going to help you figure out kind of your major zones of resistance and your major zones of support, right? And where price is going to find support and where it's going to find resistance. So one thing I want to kind of discuss here, and this is something where a lot of people got messed up in these markets, is understanding candlesticks, and then understanding deviations. And those two are kind of important, I would say, even for beginners. Deviations can go a little more in depth because people can get confused with deviations, right? They'll start looking at like the 2 hour, the 1 hour, your H1, your H4, your H2s, and you'll be like, oh, look at deviation. No. The deviations that matter the most are your low time frame, or not your low time frame, your high time frame deviations, right? You always want to look for high time deviations, because high time frame deviations will dictate, should I be getting in or should I be waiting, right? So those are the two things. So you have the monthly here on AVAX. You're probably going, oh, you got all this stuff, blah blah blah. Like, yes, I have a lot of stuff on here. So I'll remove a lot of this. I do want to leave some of it because I want people to understand kind of where the flip occurred, yada 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 yada. All right, so what you have is you have a trending market. So you have ideally, hold on one second, sorry, we're gonna go here. So just so you guys know, LH is low high, HH is high, and then you got your low lows and you got your high lows, right? So we'll go HL for high lows. So here's your low, and then here's your high low. So you have to understand when your market has structurally created a turnaround or a movement to the upside. So we can see over here for AVAX, this level right here specifically, there's two levels that are very important here for AVAX, right? One being right in here. And you can see right here, it was, sorry about the background noise. It was resistance for over here. It was support for over here. It was support for over here. And it was resistance for over here. So this is a very high liquidity zone that's going to see a lot of price action and price movement in it. So when you go back into a bear market, ideally, right, you would be looking for price to remain relatively somewheres in the zone or come back to the zone. So we extended, used previous price resistance as support, extended, and then came down, and we did what? We used previous price resistance as support, right? And that's how the new market started uptrending. Now, what you'll notice here is the second you take off of this one, you basically just run, right? So a lot of people, they get in this thing where they see the ball bounce and they see it bounce and they expect the ball to hold, right? And they continue doing this. But in reality, you're going to get a rebalance of price before you end up seeing that ball bounce up higher. And that's where a lot of people get played in these markets. I'm using AVAX because the chart's actually pretty clean for this on the high time frame. So a lot of people anticipated a third wave here, third move, yada yada yada. You had 2020, right? Going into 2021, going into the end of 2021. Now you can see here, performance-wise, AVAX did very well to the upside. You got a 5,739% return. But where did that 5,739% return come from? It came from the low. So if you were not able to anticipate, where the low was at, and you were like, oh, don't buy here, guys, don't buy here, you're losing the plot, right? You're losing the plot because your bigger move here was ultimately up here, right? So you had 1,300% return here, and that was if you messed up and missed the bottom, right? And this is where a lot of people are messing up right now because they're looking at this move right here for crypto and they're like, oh, it's over, guys. It's over. It's over. Could AVAX ideally come back down and revisit these lows? Sure it could. But I don't think that that's what we're going to see occur here. I think what we're going to see occur, and you can see it's very close to this support and it's using it as resistance. We'll probably see a close above here and we'll probably see this thing trade up to here and then roll back before we end up seeing it move higher. And this is where a lot of people are going to get confused. Again, this is your high time frame, right? This is your monthly time frame. So ideally, once you can figure out what's going to happen on the monthly, and you can figure out your route that you're looking to kind of go with whatever project you're looking at from a TA standpoint, from there you can ideally know where you're looking to hold and know where you're looking to go, and then you can start dialing down in your time frames. I'm like, all right, is this thing going to trend sideways? Is it going to trade up? Is it going to trade down? So on and so forth. Again, we are at HTF, right? As far as resistance, high time frame resistance. The problem is we broke through that resistance candle body. We closed above it. We came back into the range, and really, I think we're going to use it as support and swing out of this, right? And swing high. So ideally, I would be looking for AVAX to be tapping somewhere up here before I think this thing's going to actually come back and wreck people, right? And it's going to come back and wreck people in a big way, just like it did over here. And then people are going to be like, oh, it's coming back down in here. But no, that's not going to happen. Why is that not going to happen? Because you've had so much time to accumulate in here, right? This is kind of like your POC or your point of control. It's where price is relatively ranged for years, months, so on and so forth. There's a lot of accumulation here. So this creates basically a liquidity floor that really can't be violated, right? So when you look at this, you're looking at it more in the aspect of whenever price gets to this liquidity floor, I need to look for bounces, right? So yes, you could see ideally AVAX even play into this range, but I think in reality, it will be a deviation, right? You'll see it kind of roll out, come back above. Everybody will think this is fake and it's going to come back down. But in reality, it's recaptured price here and it's going to roll back all the way to the high. Now, how do we know that here? you had a very similar move here, right? So you had over here on AVAX, you had this high right here, resistance, support, support, resistance. And then you had what? You had a move back into the range. You had a close above the range, signaling that you needed to be in AVAX. How did this signal that you needed to be in AVAX? Because this right here specifically is what we call a deviation, right? So that is a deviation. That means that price came down, got people to go short. And then once it got people to go short, everybody's short in here. And now you're all getting liquidated. Everybody's getting liquidated because your close happened above here. So it gave you an opportunity to get out. Price then pushed up a little higher, came back down, closed here. And then price came back and did what? It used the same support, right? So everybody thinks right here it's going to fail and fall back below, but they weren't paying attention to their high time frame support. They were looking at H4, they were looking at H1, they were looking at H8, they were looking at the daily, and they're like, oh guys, we're going to come back and fill all this. No, this stuff doesn't matter on these low time frames. It does not matter on these low time frames. Like it matters in a sense, like if you're looking for scalps and stuff like that, but like if you're looking for actual price action, you're looking at the high time frame and dialing back. So because I know these things, right, and I know, okay, once I get back above here, I need to be in AVAX. What is that? That's an easy 4x from the low, right? That's an easy 4x. And how long did you have to hold? 1, 2 months. That's it. 2 months. And I'm not, and keep in mind, I'm saying 4x from the price recapture. I'm not even saying like the bottom. Because if it was the bottom, it'd be more than 4x, right? I'm saying from price recapture. So if you just wait for confirmation, you can get the confirmation and rip this thing back up. Now you can see here the move was fast. Why was it fast? Because price here sat here and dragged to the low. This is how you know that price isn't going to dump anymore. And this is why like people don't have a clue what's going on in these markets, because they think that, oh, boom, boom, boom. And then this means that you're going to start dropping again. It's like, no, that's not how this works. The minute you start getting the chop, right? I like to call it the chop. At that point, you've slowed momentum. Like think about it like Newton's law, right? So inaction, 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 and then slowing back down, right? You're bouncing slowly back to the low. Now, what do? You bounce kind of hard here, bounce up, and then you slowly drag back into the range. You got to understand where you're starting to drag on price. What does this mean? It means buyers were heavy here and buyers were, or not buyers, sorry, sellers were heavy here and sellers became less and less and less and less and less. And then here's the fake out. That means they were able to get you to capitulate below support and then the move back into the range and then big money step in and then big money step in and then big money. And how do you know that price is going to get back up here? Well, where did price capitulate on AVAX? It capitulated from here. This is your shoulder, guys. Like, if you guys think that AVAX is not going to trail SOL and probably follow it tick for tat and not match it percent for percent, I don't know what to tell you. This is why I tell people like, hey, pay attention to AVAX. This is why I've been talking about AVAX gaming and a lot of other things. Right? I'm not a gaming expert. I just look where the liquidity flows are at, and they're heavy in AVAX right now.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
So that deviation that you're talking about, how do you know that that is a deviation? Is that just like based on candlestick pattern, or is that a combination of like that and the fact that it's at the bottom of what you had established as the liquidity floor?
So once you establish your floor, you find out it's a deviation once you get the close, right? So the close happened, the monthly close, monthly, not 4 hour, not H4, not H8, none of that stuff. The monthly close. We got the monthly close back in where? Back in the range, right? This is the range you want to remain above if you're bullish. This is the range you want to remain below if you're bearish. So if this was bearish and this trend was going to dump again, what ideally I'd look for is I'd look for price to come up, maybe wick through here, fall back below and body the body of the candle to close below resistance, right? Then you're probably going to get an open over here, a rip back into the range, and then a dump at that point. That then, and keep in mind, price tends to open and go the opposite direction of where price is going to go every single time. So if we went here on the weekly over in here, we can see what they came up, they failed. This is where everybody thought it was over, right? But if they would put it on the monthly, they just saw it wasn't. Price came back below the range. You've got a solid floor up top. I mean, it's literally they're stopping price right here every single time, right? 1, 2, 3 weeks in a row. Not only that, you trailed into this range. You've got a perfect bottom. Look, same thing. 1, 2, 3 taps to the low, and then you get the rip. You get your weekly open here, and then you're just running right from there. You're just running. And so anytime you come back into the range, and the range is easy to identify. Again, it's right here. You got it right here. Again, they ripped through, came back, retested. You got it right here, which is basically candle bodies are all above this range. And right here. Now you guys are probably like, what's candle bodies? What's wicks? Wicks are the lines. Bodies are the thick parts, right? So the thick parts, at least for me as a trader, different traders trade different ways, right? So some traders trade bodies, some traders trade wicks. I tend to like to trade bodies because I think bodies are the ultimate decision maker. How are bodies the ultimate decision maker? Because the true volume of the market is articulated in the body of the candle. The wick is, for me, at the end of the day, is just noise, right? It means that price could have gone exponentially higher, but the wick never mattered. What mattered is the body. Why? Because you tend to get flat flush tops, or at least the same rejections in the same zones, the same supports in the same zones with the body, right? Whereas wicks are kind of like erratic. They're all over the place. So I tend to like to lean toward body candles versus, anything else. And how do you know what happened here? Look, AVAX, pump, sideways, no action. Right here, dump, slow. See the slow? This is what I'm talking about. Look, pump, sideways, drop, slow, breakout. That's what you're looking for, right? You're looking for that slow. Now, not only is it slow, what are you getting here on volume? Where is volume going here? If you're to look at it from a volume standpoint. So for those of you who don't know, this is volume. So this is the amount of trading that's actually occurring right now with the charts. So as far as volume goes, you're getting decreased volume. What is the worst thing in the world when it comes to an asset? What causes the death of an asset? Does anybody know? What causes the yes, illiquidity or price is not moving. Price has to move. So if price is not moving on the sell side, which direction does price have to go? Anybody?
It has to go up.
It has to go up. Exactly. So again, Newton's law, for every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction. For every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction. Do you see how this area right here is almost exactly the same? You had a little bit of overreaction here over top of this, but this liquidity zone is almost exactly the same. Look, you had the same slow drop into the same slow pump and then the same candle body run as the same candle body drop. Don't get faded in these markets, guys. Listen to these guys who think they're gurus. I'm telling you guys, like, this stuff is not, it's not hard. It's not hard. Same thing here. Look, you had this big pump, run sideways. Look at the candle. Look at it. I can't articulate it better. I cannot articulate it better. Look at it. Oh, hold up. I just messed up. So again, I think like just paying attention in general to what is going on your higher time frames helps you dictate lower time frames better. You don't have to trade on the high time frames. You just simply have to know what's going on the high time frames. Because if I know that my trend is bearish, regardless of whether I think I'm going to catch a bounce, I'm going to play the side of where momentum is favored. So if momentum is favored to the downside, I'm going to be looking for shorts. If momentum is favored for the upside, I'm going to be looking for longs. Now, even if I thought a short was possible, why would I not take a short in an uptrending market? Especially as a new trader. Anybody?
In case it runs.
In case you're, well, yeah, in case it runs, but in case you're wrong, right? Like, because when you're in the favor of a momentum, the easiest plays are playing the momentum. So that means short downside, long upside, right? So downtrend, this is why I shorted through 2022, because I was like, oh, it's a downtrend. This is going to be easy. I can just pick spots and literally just short this market through the floor. And I did, because once you see the momentum start to favor your downside, you're just going to get wrecked if you're trying to just buy positions while it drops, right? Now, how do you figure out where the balance occurs or where it occurs, so on and so forth? I can tell you a few different ways to identify bottoms. Even though everybody says, "Oh, I caught the bottom." How did you catch the bottom? I don't know. I just caught the bottom. I can tell you how. I can tell you how I did, right? And it's not hard again to understand. It just, you can never get in a bias when it comes to trading, guys. Like, don't never get in a directional bias. I shit talk a lot on Twitter, but it's because people don't believe what I'm telling them. Like, I'm just like, dude, the direction's up. Like, I know you don't want to believe that. You want to believe that there's all this recessionary blah, 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 more money injected in the economy, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, more money injected in the economy means it's just going to take longer to get it out. But at the end of the day, what you look for is you look for vol drops, right? So you're getting this rampant part of the market, right? And you're seeing this market just run and then run. And then what do you see right here on volume right here? Even though price ran up, so price ran up here. And what happened to volume between, we'll say, the highest peak and we'll say kind of the lowest peak? What happened to volume there?
It went down.
It went down, right? Volume went down. So what does that tell me? That tells me I'm getting a bearish div just by volume by itself, right? Now, let's go with this one. And I'm going to show you guys a little trick. Look, these aren't tricks that people teach you because half the people don't even really know how to trade. I'm telling you, I promise you. And that's not a diss on people, man. Like, it just, I don't know, man. Some people are just out there talking a lot and they're not really doing a lot. I'm trying to do a lot and trying to help people. But here's volume, here's price. What do we see with volume and price here?
It went down.
Together.
They went down together, right? So if volume's dropping and price is dropping, what is that indicative of typically? Just by this one example, what would you think that's indicative of? Well, I would think that it means that price is going to bounce, right? If price is rising and volume is dropping, what do you think that's indicative of? Probably some kind of deviation, right? Price is going to fall over a dump. Now, when volume is completely dead, this is how do you figure out a bottom of a bear, all right? Look, dead volume, no volume. See the comparison? The market stayed below all volume peaks. What are we starting to see right up here? What are we starting to see here and here?
Yeah, volume's picking up.
Volume
Price
picking up.
picking up.
Volume's picking up. Is volume above resistance? Yeah, volume's above resistance. What did we see over here?
Yeah, same thing. Lots of volume, and then the price shut up.
Lots of volume, and then price shot up, right? And then we got the vol drop. And then what happened again once it got back below? Price shot up again. Where are we at right now? We're below, right? These are important things to keep in mind when you're looking at the market. And you're like, hey, are we in an uptrend? Are we in a downtrend? Are we looking for I'm showing you guys how to just use volume. I'm not even showing you the other things that I use. I'm just showing you two simple things, just volume and price. And if they tend to follow each other, they tend to work out. So again, I'm going to show you the same thing on volume here. Look, here's your lows, right? Lows. What do we see in the volume right here? They match, right? Volume dropping, price dropping. Example 2. So what do you see? A bounce, right? Volume pops out. Then what do you see again? Price dropping, volume dropping. Yes, you got 2 moves in here. Just take it as 2. So a lot of people got faked out because there's 1 and then there's 2, right? And then after the second move, what do you get? You get the deviation, right? The price to make you think price is going to break down. It goes below, hugs the low, and then gets back above. Nobody wants to bid. Everybody's scared. And I told people here on AVAX, I was like, look, I was like, $10. We just recaptured the range. It's time to long this shit. Like we're going long on everything. And it wasn't just AVAX that did this. There's a lot of assets that did this all at the same time. I can literally just point them out side by side by side. But vol to price is a really good way to look at this. Another way too, and here's the thing about stochastic. People think a high stochastic is the make all be all, or a high this or that, and that's not the case at all. These are just like OI indicators. We can get into those later. I don't think that they're as important personally, so I'm not going to really talk about those today specifically. But I do think that these two are, right? So what do we notice here with RSI versus stochastic? What do we see here? Well, we see a lot of highs being tapped on stochastic, a lot of lows being tapped on stochastic, and we see price on your RSI remaining below where? Where's price remaining below? If anybody knows RSI. What area?
50?
Below the 50, right? So these keywords, we're gonna say them, right? These keywords are the important ones. Below the 50, above the 50. Why do those two matter? Because above the 50 is a bullish market. Below the 50 is a bearish market. Where do we remain right here? We remain below the 50. What could you have bid almost every single time and done okay? Well, you could have bid every 30 tap, right? Every 30 tap. So you tap 30 here, you could have bid, price jumped, came back into the range, right? Didn't touch 30 here, you're still holding, price dumped, came back into the range, price again into the 30s. So if you would have bid the 30s, you would have ideally bought at roughly 16. And then your second 30 tap would have brought you below deviation, and you would have bought in that $8 to $9 range. So your price average would have been around $12 to $13. And then once you take that 12 to 13, I'm telling you guys this for like real investing, not gambling on bullshit and shit coins and, potential speculative NFT projects that are just launching. I'm telling you guys this from like a price standpoint for like things that you are looking to dial into to be in for long periods of time and or into the bull market. Just so you guys are aware why I'm talking about this specifically. So your average would have been around 13. And I think AVAX would have been a hold into the bull market if you got into these prices. And then from there, you could have moved up into, your $40, $50 range, right? For I think it was like 40. Yeah, it was about 50. Yeah. So you could have easily been at an easy Forex, right? Soft, easy, go to sleep easy at night, eat your steak and lobster, not worry about things type moves. And this is where things, pretty much popped off here for AVAX. Now, let me show you guys now. Here's another thing too. And this is a pattern I typically look for on anything. It could be a chart, it could be a stochastic, it could be a RSI. look for W's, right? Why are W's good? W's are very good. So if you start to see a W form and you see a double tap of the low, you're on this side, you rejected at the 50 here, came back down. Expect this thing's going to break out and break out in a big way, right? Now, here's where a lot of people get tricked. They see the stochastic top and they think it's over. Well, if you would have taken stochastic topping as over, you just crossed your 50. What does that mean about your price? What side is the price on across the 50?
Bearish side.
On top
Or
of the 50?
above the 50? Oh,
Yeah.
above the 50 is bullish, yeah.
Yeah, it's on the bullish side, right? So because it's on the bullish side, you would have just sold as you were getting bullish. Does that make any sense for anybody to do that? Just out of curiosity. Hold on 1 second. Something got messed up here. No, ideally it does not. So again, this is where like people are getting it wrong. They're not understanding what's actually going on here. And they're just talking, right? They're just talking. And just talking is not good enough. You need to provide people context when you say price, when you say where things are going, there needs to be context. This is the context behind what I talk about, just so you guys know. So again, this was your bear market. Now you're on the bullish side. What did we see over here for AVAX when AVAX went into its first bull? It got above the 50, deviated below a little bit, and got back above the 50. Now, where ideally was the best place to get back into AVAX if you sold at the high, or if you say you did it a little early or whatever, and you wanted to be back in AVAX specifically? Anywhere's below the 50, because you'd buy anywhere's in here, you would have bought this right here. Now, some of you may be like, and this is the problem with a lot of people, right? You get in that mindset where you're like, you know what? I'm not going to buy that car until interest rates go down. Well, what happens when interest rates go down? What happens to prices of things when interest rates go down? Just out of anybody's curiosity, some of you guys are older, you probably know.
Goes up.
Yeah.
Yeah, interest goes down, and then need goes up. So prices go.
Yes, price goes up. So the rebalance and the balance of is price goes up, interest rates go down. Interest rates go up, price goes down. That's how you balance demand, right? So when is the best time to buy things for cash? High interest rate environments, right? You're looking to buy everything for cash because you can make deals on things for cash when the environment is in a high interest rate environment. Now, when is the best thing to buy things on credit? The best time to buy things on credit is when interest rates are low. Why? Because you're paying next to nothing on the loan. Like these, again, these are just common sense things that a lot of people don't get, and this is why when interest rates are high, yes, you're going to get into a bear market, but once you start to peak on your interest rates, guys, once you start to peak, the market starts to bottom. That's what a lot of people miss, because assets, they've ideally hit their lowest, their lowest cost. All assets across the board, stocks, everything, cars, houses, stocks, they've hit their lowest price. That price is going to start creeping up as interest rates start creeping down. This is why a lot of these macro gurus like, okay, well, if the macro blah, 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 then it's like, no, you have no clue what you're talking about at all, because they work in opposite. That's how you keep the price balanced. It has to be balanced on both sides. So if this is kind of the range, we talked about the W, we talked about above the 50, below the 50. Markets aren't in the bear market. They're not. And ideally, I think, AVAX might come back into this range, probably come back into the 50. What should you be doing if AVAXs are? I'm not telling you buy AVAX. I'm just saying that if an asset comes back into the 50 somewhere throughout this year, what would be the best bet there? And you think it's a good asset?
Under 50, you buy?
No, not well. I mean, yeah, you could buy under 50, but I'm saying when you start getting into the 50, you should start looking to dial in. Now, that, again, I'm not coming here telling you guys what to do with your bags. This isn't financial advice or anything like that. I'm just telling you how to trade, right? Or how to be looking for entries. Like that's the other thing that a lot of people they really fade. They're like, I don't need to know to trade. I just buy things. Well, how do you know what's an optimal entry? You can't know what's an optimal entry if you're not able to recharge at all. Like I'm not even like even on a basic level will help you, right? It's not even that you have to be some expert trader, know everything in the world. Just understanding basic TA can allow you better entries and assets, and it can make you more calm when everybody is hyped and freaking out about getting into something, right? You can always play the hype, but the problem with your average investor is they get played into the cult, they get played into the thesis that this thing goes higher, and they forget that, hey, I got into a hype thing. I need to get out of this hype thing while it's still hyped and take my profits, right? Versus like, hey, I'm looking for an optimal entry into a long-term project. This is the best place to buy it. And they're two different trading styles and altogether. I mean, I have a few that I use. I have a bear market trading style, I have a mid market trading style, and I have a bull market trading style. And then I also have one where, it's a little bit degen, but it's kind of more of a degen trading style. My degen trading styles, hey, call me a G, whatever you want. I got out with a bag, you're sitting there holding. It is what it is. So moving into things like Bitcoin, right? So let's talk about Bitcoin because this is an important thesis to kind of look at overall. And I think just a lot of people are not giving credit where credit is due when it comes to these type of assets, where the bottom occurred. And this is why I started buying things like I got into paid at like 0.015. Not a brag, not at all. It's because I started to see the market turn around, right? That's why I'm discussing this, because I started to see the market turn around. And some people are like, oh, you just got lucky. No. I was looking at the TA, I was looking at the death of everything that everybody was talking about, and it didn't line up. It just didn't line up. So overall, what do you have? You have your high time frame, conviction zone. A lot of people were expecting a sweep of the body here. And I started to see a turnaround, right? Again, very, very, very similar to what we're talking about. I can't make it any easier. Look, I can obviously bring this up a little higher and touch the lows so you guys can see. We can call it a deviation in many different ways, right? We could say if we wanted to go off bodies, we could say there, right? If we wanted to go off the low bottom wicks, we could say roughly right in here, right around 17K. I honestly was not using the monthly here. I was using the weekly when I was able to identify this. I ignored the FTX bullshit that everybody else spewed. I ignored all that. Like I expected FTX to completely implode. Don't get me wrong. Like I didn't ignore that. That was the obvious one that was going to play out. And I told a lot of people that too. They thought I was full of shit, just like Luna. When I told them, hey, Luna's going to implode too, and thought I was full of shit, and it definitely happened. Doesn't mean I predict the future. Just I can see bullshit when when I'm staring at it. It's not hard to see. You can put a fake mask over it all you want. So this right here was the most ideal portion in the chart. You had a flush bounce. Again, you're starting to get some kind of fluctuations up here, but you're still in that high liquidity zone. The high liquidity zone for Bitcoin was up in here. This is how you knew you were going lower, because somebody was swapping the market all up through here, right? And they were not allowing Bitcoin to come down, even though it was heavy, because they knew they could work people and work them into a deviation high, right? And how would you know you were in a deviation high? The second you come back below there, right? The second you come back below there, you got the breakdown, the failed breakout. Again, this is why I told you guys, like, you have to get back above here. And if you're not able to get back up above here, what are you gonna do? You're gonna puke. And then people somehow thought we were gonna bounce somewhere in here. I was like, no, it's like we're gonna get wrecked. This thing's coming way down from here. It's not even gonna stop. Like, this is the beginning of the end. And we ended up kind of dropping into the range, bouncing out, hitting liquidity, right? Liquidity. Like there's a big old POC right through here. So it made sense to come back and rebalance to that range. Now, it's for me, like, and this is what I always tell people, because like even though people want to line it up and make it look beautiful, it's always about body touches, candlestick touches. Like you want to get as many as possible when you're looking for trends. But overall, I took it like this. I was like, all right, we're gonna do this. We're gonna probably bounce somewhere in here, and I was expecting some kind of move back to a previous shoulder, probably in there. But I was thinking more like 48K, because I was like, oh, they're gonna lower high this, so it's probably gonna be somewhere in here, because we came up, bounced, came back into the liquidity zone. You can see right here, you can see the resistance straight across on the weekly, right in here. That was a really important portion to watch. And then when we were able to break back above here, your next resistance is here, right? A lot of people were looking for here. This already got rebalanced up here. See, you had 1 and 2 here. So you had 1, you had 2 here, you had 1, you had 2 here, and then you had 1 and you had 2 here. And this was your breakout, breakdown. And why did this hold here and bounce? Because you had all this here, right? You had all this here. Of course you were going to sit here and consolidate. And you consolidated above. A lot of people were looking at some kind of breakout this direction. We're going this way. And I told a lot of people that too. So came up, broke out, broke down. This right here is ideally what we call a flush, right? So if you want to know the best places to watch markets, it's after a big flush. So we had our big flush down, and then what happened? Again, this is very similar to AVAX. We talked about this. Drag, right? You're starting to get less and less sellers right in here. So what do I need to do here now that I see sellers have slowed down? Because sellers were absolutely willing to sell all the way down here. And then you started to get interest, right? Just think of it as like interest. When you're starting to get green, white, green, or green, red, green, red, green, red, green, red, and you're starting to consolidate a range, that's called price interest. And a lot of people thought, for some reason, and I don't know what their thought process was, that you were going to find interest here, and then interest was going to die, and then you were going to dump again. It's like, no, that's not how this works. Because why? We had many different deviations right here in this price zone. You're probably like, okay, what deviations did you see? I saw price dropping. I saw what happened here. What happened here? Any of you can unmic if you want. Sorry, I just like to be more interactive. Nobody knows what happened with volume there.
It increased.
It increased, right? So if you have price dropping and volume increasing, what do you think is happening here?
A pump is coming.
We could say a pump, or we can say there's always think of it like interest, right? There's now interest in the market. How did we figure out there was interest? Because you had a dead zone ever since we dropped, right? Vol was not breaking anywheres after we dropped. And then we dropped here, big red. You have candles to match the breakouts. And then you start to see volume peak above, fall back below. Volume peak above, fall back below. Volume peak above, peak above, peak above, peak above. And then boom, right? Big capitulatory event. But volume is doing what? It is rising, right? It is not flat. Flat volume is different from rising volume. Rising volume is very important. Now, again, this is just volume. Like, don't look at volume as the say all be all, right? But volume can help you understand what's going on. Where did I see the real turnaround? Well, I saw it right in here. Now, did I know it would turn into this? No. What did I take this as initially? I was like, we're going to get a dead cat bounce initially, right? And then the market proved me different. This is why you have to continue watching the trend, because if the trend switches, you got to go with it, guys. You can't fade the trend. Can't. So we had the rising what here? What does the RSI dictate? Does anybody know what the RSI dictates?
Strength of the market.
Strength. It dictates buying and selling strength, right? In a weak market, you get RSI downtrends. In a strong market, you get RSI uptrends. But what you want to see is you want to see price fighting the trend, right? Because if price is fighting the trend is your friend. And so price is fighting to the downside while people are piling to get in. And this is why I told people, they're like, oh, you're just full of shit, blah, blah, blah. You don't talk about macro, blah, blah. Look, macro didn't matter. This is where I started, like down in here is where I started buying altcoins when I started seeing this shit. I posted my buys. I bought Bitcoin at like 16K. That's below the deviation, guys. Like that's below the deviation. Like this is your deviation. That's what this is right here. It's your HTF deviation based on previous market top, previous tap here. Like you got so many things telling you price was going to get stopped out, right? And then you got this right here. So I was expecting some kind of retap of this price liquidity zone, but you had a retouch here. You had some price action right here. But I'll tell you this, I thought maybe, hey, we might see another drop. So realistically, I was like, I'm buying here and we can drop all the way down into here. I'll just keep buying. Because why? And this is what I try to tell you guys with conviction buys. Like you have to, once you start getting close to your target, like just buy. It gets lower, buy. It gets lower, buy. It gets lower, buy. And people are like, well, you don't know when they'll turn. I do. I can see the liquidity over here to the left. I do know where it's going to turn around if it continues to bleed. I do. And if it gets worse, hey, I'll wait for a capitulatory event, right? Like if let's say ideally somehow, some way, Bitcoin dumped into here, right? Ideally dumped in here. Everybody wants to pack their bags here. They don't realize I can buy here, I can buy here, and now I can wait. Or if it continues to trade here, I'll just keep buying. And then I can wait. And then if it pukes again, it's going to puke to here. And then I can buy here. And then my average is going to be somewhere in here, even if I buy less here than I bought here. This is where my average is going to be. Would anybody be mad with a 9-10K average because they bought some at 16, then they bought some at 13, then they bought some, roughly here at the lows? Again, this comes back to like your mental state, right? You have to understand like where you are in the market and like what you should be doing at certain positions in the market based on where you are in the market. And this is how TA helps. It really, really, really helps because it breaks you out of that fear state, that state that you're not going to be able to get an entry, that state that, it's over here and everybody's right, and so on and so forth. Like I'm not scared at all at my entries. I haven't sold crap unless it's crap, right? Unless I'm in it because I know it's a quick flip, it's an easy move, then I sell it. But if it's something like, I don't know, Ethereum, Bitcoin, AVAX, whatever, Polygon, like why would I sell here? Why? Like I'm expecting this and we're here. Like that's like selling right here. That's like selling right here. Well, everybody will tell you, I'll break it down better. Everybody will tell you it's like selling here because they're trying to get you to think that you can buy here, right? But in reality, we're like somewhere's over here. That's where we're at realistically. We've already tapped the high and came back down. And you can see we're forming like a doji up here too, which is kind of the funny thing. I think we're gonna end up closing green on the month here. And what this is for me, at least what I'm seeing from a market standpoint, is I'm thinking that this is kind of a compression, right? So you got your swing, and always look for like these more round circular moves, because a lot of people expect them to come back into the range. No. These are half circles. That means you're going to come back into previous support and you're going to take off again, right? You're going to come back and everybody's expecting it to come back into here. No, they're going to come back into previous support here. That's where they're going to come back to. And then we're going to take off again. And like everybody's selling here when they should be looking for here. That's where they should ideally be looking for. Like just stop getting played in these markets. Like there's no point in listening to half these people. Like I don't trade off anybody else on Twitter but myself, guys. Like I don't care about what other people say. I don't care what people post from statistics in China or whatever around the world. I don't care because in crypto, it's world liquidity. It's not US liquidity. So some countries are going to turn around faster than others. Other countries are going to lag behind others and so on and so forth. So some will get it late. You had the opportunity to still be in early, in my perspective. Again, look and look. It's not hard to understand. It's just everybody's shooting from here, but the reality is your low end range is here, right? You might ideally hit that 38, 37K, but you're not recapturing here. They're not going to let you. They're not going to let you guys in there. It's telling you guys. I know it sounds weird when I say they're not going to let you in. Like I dictate. I don't dictate shit. I'm just telling you what the chart's telling me, and it's telling me everybody's waiting for this thing that's not going to happen. Again, so you got to understand where you are in the market. We're up here, right? You tapped your high. You're coming back. What are you going to do? You're coming back into the range, right? You're coming back into the range. You've ideally came back down halfway. You could ideally bleed down into it for 2-3 months, and then you're going to bounce. You're going to bounce. Bitcoin's going to roll out. Now, this is your high time frame conviction, right? So you have your high time frame conviction. You have your trend, right? Ideally, you have your trend. So off of your trend, you know that what? If my trend gets invalidated, then I can talk bearish, right? What is a trend? A trend is something that happens regularly on an asset. So I could show you 2 trends specifically on this chart that everybody fades, right? So we'll remove the 35 drawings I have on here. I'll show you 2 trends. Bottom of market, second bounce, takeoff. Bottom of market, second bounce. Where do we go from here? Anybody? Where do we go from here? If the trend is your friend, and ideally we're going to match the previous trend, where are we going to go from here?
Back up.
Back up. So why are people worried about selling here to buy here? Like you guys are literally selling and buying for peanuts. That's my perspective. And the thing is too, and I want to point this out because I think a lot of people fade this because they don't understand it. So NFTs specifically, I did want to talk about this a little bit. They're based on what liquidity are they stablecoin? Does anybody know what an NFT liquidity pool is made up of?
Community funds.
No, I mean just like what asset is it made up of?
Oh,
It's usually made up of a stablecoin. I'm not a stablecoin, but a layer 1, right? So to be Ethereum, Solana, Bitcoin, that's a liquidity pool, right? It's not made up of stablecoin. So if we anticipate, I'm going to give you a thesis, right? And again, I think this is just a 1 + 1 = 2 thesis. If we anticipate the whole market to bounce and go significantly higher, what do we think happens to Solana, Ethereum, AVAX, and all these other ones that are in the ecosystem?
They have to go higher as well.
They have to go higher as well, right? Because as money comes in and liquidity goes in, what do investors do? They tend to go further down the risk curve. So if they go higher, what does that do to the? We'll go with Bored Apes. What happens with Bored Apes floor price, regardless of how much ETH it's worth, dollar wise?
USD value goes up.
USD value goes up. So what are people going to see when they go to look at NFTs, even if they're down on their asset peg position? Well, your regular investors are going to come in, they're going to look at the dollar value, and they're going to be like, huh. Well, in the bear market, that was worth 15,000, but now it's worth 50,000. Asset went a lot higher, so I'm going to buy it. It looks like an appreciating asset by dollar value. And that's going to do what to the Ethereum, Solana, peg, blah, 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 blah. What is that going to do to that pool?
USD makes the crypto itself go back up.
Well, yeah, it's gonna cause people to be manipulated into thinking that the value is going up, and so they're gonna start buying these assets anyways and pushing the floor up higher. So it's like a double whammy, right? Coming out of a bear market, just like it's like a double whammy going into a bull market. It's like beta on beta. It's like taking long positions versus holding spot when you're looking at it. This is why I love NFTs, man. Like, because people see dollar value, and they even at the asset value by liquidity pool has been going down. They see dollar value go up. They just start buying. Like people like they can't break down the simple mathematics behind a lot of these things, right? They're very simple in a lot of ways. But that's what's going to drive a lot of NFT projects much higher than what people are actually anticipating, in my opinion. I don't care about the whole this NFT project or that NFT project. Look, I'm involved in a lot. I just don't share my wallets. But I'll tell you this, like I think like if you're betting on a lot of this and you're betting on the market going up, that's why I've been heavily risked. Why am I going to profit on heavily risk right at the moment? Probably not, right? I'm probably going to depreciate a little bit, but I know what my upside, like we looked at AVAX, for instance, 5,800x or 5,800 percent moves. Bitcoin's going to make a 3x, right? So which one would I weigh on? I'd weigh on the higher percentage gain. And that's what I've been doing, right? And that could be RWAs, it could be anything, it could be depends. Like everything's going to outpace Bitcoin, everything across the board. I don't know anything that's going to do less than Bitcoin. And I say that in the nicest way. And this is why like a lot of Bitcoin maxis have a problem with people telling people that, because they're like, oh, well, you're misinformation. You're telling people, but like, no, I'm telling people how to make money. People are coming here to make money. Like if they came here to like preserve wealth, they would buy Bitcoin. If they came here to make money, then they're speculating on the higher end risk curve. And it's the same thing with the stock market, right? So stock market, the same way. You're not going to go buy SPX and be like, oh, I'm gonna be a millionaire in 5-10 years. No, you're not. You might be able to keep up with inflation. That's it. And at some point, a millionaire is not going to mean anything, right? A millionaire is going to be like, hey, I have $100,000. At some point, depreciation is going to hit the dollar value that hard. But overall, again, one thing that we can see here with Bitcoin is Bitcoin loves to, relatively peak at the best positions of the market, right? So what do we see right there? Anybody? If you were to look at those volumes that I just touched right there and look straight up, what do you see?
A pump.
What part of the market are we in at the tops of those candles?
Well, the top of the market, the peak of the market.
The peak of the market. You hit it on that, guys. This isn't hard. It's really not hard. I'm showing you guys like the alpha that nobody talks about, like the easy plays, right? And again, here, yes, you went a little higher, but you could have sold here and still got in cheaper. I'm not saying to do that. I'm just saying like once you start hitting these areas in the market, what should you ideally be looking to do? Should you be going and getting a loan on your house and looking to dial into crypto if you hit a volume candle up to here? No, you shouldn't. Like this is where you can continue to play in the market, but understand at some point the music stops. Right? There's 5 chairs in the room, there's 20 people. We're going to be at 1 chair relatively soon. So we have to understand that. So you always have to look for this high peak volume candles. And this is on the monthly, guys. Like it's nothing crazy. It's on the monthly. These high peak volume candles, and understand when you're at the top, when you're at the bottom. Look, you could have ideally bought anywhere near this peak. And bought what? You could have bought the bottom of the move here. Could have sold close to the top here. You could have bought relatively very close to the bottom here. It trends and shifts all the same. Now, granted, you started to get a decline here, right? And this is how you knew this whole move was fake. You knew it was all bullshit. How did you know it was bullshit at the end of the day? Because if you came in and you looked at these markets as they were, this is where a bear div matters. It does not matter on your 4 hour, it does not matter on your 8 hour, it does not matter on your daily. It matters on your weekly, monthly. Now, what do you see here? Well, you see price. And this is what I pointed out to a lot of people. Price doing what here? What did price do to here to here?
Yeah, it went up.
It went up, right? It went up. What did your what did your strength do from there to there?
Go down.
It went down. So what does that tell you about this move? It tells you it's bullshit. That's what it tells you. Where do you get the invalidation? Again, invalidation the second you break back below the high. So just a couple things to kind of figure out how you're peaking at a market. Again, over here, same thing, right? Previous market 17, you're seeing climb, climb, climb. You're peaking at the same position, right? You're not able to gain more strength. You're not able to gain more momentum. And you did have a bear div here, ideally, but really you also had a bear div here and a lot of other places. But this is where it mattered most. It mattered most because this was the most obvious turnaround in the world. Why was it obvious? Because you had to round up, you had to bounce back up, and you had less strength, indicating this thing was going to roll. And you had a lot of time here too. You had a lot of time there to know that this was going to happen. Now I remember up here, and you know, not to shit on anybody, but I remember Bitcoin or BitBoy telling people we won't go back below 30K, guys. We won't go back below 30K. I was telling people we're going to go way below 30K. Far below. I was looking roughly in 17, 14, and 10. That's what I was looking for. Yes, where all the people are currently looking for right now is 10. Now, why did I look for those levels specifically? I looked at them as rebalances, right? Does it mean that they have to play down to those levels? No. No. You have to play the levels as they are, right? So you have to kind of level this out, and you have to be like, all right, where's our highest resistance? Right here, right? That brings us pretty much almost all the way into the 14K range. You come across that support for right here, top of market. So I took this level by level, and I was like, all right, where ideally should we come into? Well, we should definitely come into here, right? Definitely come into there. So I was expecting that move easy. That's why when people are talking about we won't go below 30, I was like, we're going to at least 20 here, right? And then I took it from there, and I'm like, all right, where's our next level? Well, our next level is right here. Now, you're probably like, well, how do you dictate, does it go here or go here? You dictate whether it goes here or goes here based on can you break into the range, right? So if you break into the range, again, I'll identify the range for you guys right here. If you break into the range and you do it a few times, you're more than likely going to fail. You're going to fail the range, which means you're going to fill the range, right? So peak resistance, range. Peak resistance, peak support and resistance, range. So these are areas of liquidity that you're looking to get tapped, ideally. And if you can break lower than that, just look for the next support, right? Look for the next support. And this is why people keep talking 10K. Now, I'm just telling you why, right? I'm not telling you it will happen because I don't think it'll happen now. I think the momentum has shifted, the trend has shifted, and too much liquidity is in play at this point. So you're just not going to see those prices. If there wasn't a lot of liquidity, we would have dead cat bounced ideally probably to around here. This is how you knew it was real, and you wouldn't have gone any further. You would have stopped here, came back, broke down. Now here I was looking for a 19K play, which played right into that range, right? I think like 19.8, somewhere's in there, 19.5. Because I was expecting some kind of bounce because there was a lot of confluence in this area. So confluence equals point of control. Point of control equals probably a bounce, right? Or probably a reversal zone. Now you guys are probably like, what do you mean point of control? What do you mean bounce? Yada, yada, yada. So I don't even need an indicator, guys. A lot of people use indicators for point of controls. That's the sad part. Like, I guess it's not sad if you're new, but people that are trying to teach other people are showing them like their point of control indicators. And it's like, you don't, if you can identify it on the chart, you don't need the indicator. And if you can identify it on the chart, you have quite a bit of experience. But it's where price likes to linger, right? Where price likes to linger. We can see price here plays really heavily, breaks out, comes back into the range, plays really heavily, breaks down, comes back into the range, plays really heavily, and then breaks down from that zone. And then price lingers here, but it breaks back into the range, right? Now, once you get back above this shoulder, ideally, right? This is your puke, your capitulation. You're looking to really kind of ride this thing back up into the previous high. So I was expecting a rejection here. And I on my post, you guys can go back and search my BTC posts. I was pointing to them like this, and I was like, look here and look here. I'm like, they're identical. I'm like, you're gonna reject here, just like you did over here. You're gonna come back into the POC, your point of control, and you're gonna bounce, right? And this is what I was expecting, a move back into the high liquidity zone. This is where you could show strength, right? You just have so much play here, man. It's so easy. And then you have the bounce right back out, right? You hit the liquidity, you touch all liquidity, all of your asks get filled, and or all of your bids get filled. Your ask side gets wrecked, and price goes up even higher. And then up here, everybody was expecting this thing to come back down again. But what do we see? We see volume slow breakout, right? We see volume dead through there. So that means your sell side, it doesn't have any more momentum. It didn't have any more. And then what do we see? We see big interest, right? And where do we get knocked down again? Everybody's longing up here. That's why you guys are getting wrecked. Everybody waits for this to happen before they take a long. They don't take a long down into the range, right? They take a long up here. And then what happens? Long side gets slaughtered. And then what happens? You get priced back into the range. This is why I said bid 25K when we were here. I was like, bid the shit. Because if you looked here, look, I didn't even have to know this trend. All I had to do was put my trend based off of the previous low here, right? And expect that at some point into this trend, we were going to bounce out of it, on top of being on top of heavy liquidity up here. So after that, we then bounced out of the range again, right? Now, a lot of people are looking at us coming back and retesting this liquidity, which would put us roughly, somewhere in the 30 to 33K zone. They're not looking to the left. They're not looking close enough, right? Your liquidity zone is really kind of in here. This is more of a deviation, but your POC, again, is identified right in here, right? This is where your liquidity zone is. So you're kind of playing right to this. So I'm expecting price to maybe play into that range, that 38K range. Might do double tap, might just break out. But at some point, it's going to push, and it's going to push hard. Now, the question that I have, do we push a little higher and stop and come back hard? So what does that mean? Well, that means that we probably roll here and then rip and then come back, right? And then rip. That would screw a lot of people. Because they're looking for this and it just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. And again, this is why you always have to pay attention to where you're at. People are expecting this. Look. This is already filled. It's been filled over here. There's no reason to come back into that range. That's why we got support here previously. because you had all this filled here. Now everybody's looking for price to come back into here. But in reality, this is where they should be looking. They should be looking here. So if we were to get a swing, it'd be a swing up into a 38K into a break. That's what I would anticipate. Now, granted, you guys are all here. So if this plays out to a T, make sure you guys let people know. All right. Just let people know. I'm just telling you guys. Like, again, this is just patterns, right? It's paying attention to the pattern that's playing out. And these are just simple patterns that you can play on. You can tell when you're on the flush side, and you can tell when you're on the bull side. Again, we never saw a single move like this through this entire drop. Not one. You saw slow moves in into a puke. Slow move in into a puke. Slow move in into a puke. We didn't have enough momentum. We didn't have enough momentum. But the second you matched zone for zone, got above it, it's done. Your trend is switched. And then you got the 19K push. And then once you got the 19K push, now you got an uptrend, right? Now you've got an uptrend. Now nobody expects it to come back to here. Everybody thinks it's just going to keep ripping and ripping and ripping. No. It's like this. The market will stay angled until it goes vertical. We haven't even seen vertical yet. You could see it right here. This is vertical. This is this. People are getting chopped up in the low end range. Again, if you look at this, it's like, think of it like a teacup, right? If we were to take this and we were to flip this upside down and we were to go, where is it at? And we were to go like this, it's almost like a teacup. So you have your liquid dumping into your cup, bounce, pours out, right? Now, what are you seeing here? What do you see here? What shape is this?
I thought it was a W.
Oh, it's a W. It's a W, right? And what are we seeing here?
Yeah, the cup's getting filled back up.
Cup's getting filled back up. Like, we got to understand when you're going to move a certain direction in the market. And so what we call this on the bid side or on the sell side is we call this an M formation, right? So an M formation is bearish. So the expectation of some kind of drop down was imminent, right? Where was the information? It's at the top of the market. It's at the top of the market. Of course it was going to break down. It was going to break down in a big way, right? M's filled. Now we're moving back into a cup formation and we're about to break out. Like, people are, again, cluster of trees, 100,000 trees. We don't call that 100,000 trees. We call it a forest. Like, we have to understand the overall layout when we're looking at these charts. And so, overall, like, we cup filled to here and we kind of broke out, but this is going to still cup fill higher, right? So it's rolling out into a blast off. So another thing that was pretty good at showing that was NVIDIA, right? A lot of people faded NVIDIA, continued to fade it, say it's price manipulation, blah, 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 all the bullshit that people spew. Now, granted, you did have a high time frame bear div here, right? You do have that 100%. But what does that mean for NVIDIA? Does that mean it's going to be over at some point? No. So what I think is that at some point, could be this decade, could be next. At some point, NVIDIA is going to do this. Reject, breakout, retest, and push. What does that mean for NVIDIA upside? That means that reject, breakout, retest, and push. Like, people get caught in these patterns and these bear divs, and they don't allow for invalidations, right? A bear div is only a bear div until it's invalidated. When is it invalidated? It's invalidated the second you violate your trend, right? You're looking for a rejection here. But if price breaks above your rejection, you're now invalidated. It doesn't mean cry about it. It doesn't mean sit there and be like, hey guys, I'm right. It's going to break back down below, blah, blah, blah. It means tell people, hey, I was wrong on the rejection here. I've been invalidated. We're going higher. Like, just be honest with people. Like, just don't sit there and bullshit people on charts because you want to be right, because you want to make a name for yourself. It's not, this isn't about making a name. Like, if you're in trading to make a name for yourself versus trying to make money and trying to help others make money, then it's the wrong reasons, guys. Like, it's not about, like, I could easily sit here and just bullshit post all day. I could show scams all day. And, you know, I'd probably be at 100K followers, you know, before the bull run even starts. But that's not my intention. My intention is to teach people the right things the right way. And I think, like, if more people did that, this would be a better space. But hey, you can't make money if you can't scam people, is the way some people think. So, you know, again, that's a poor person mentality. And those people tend to lose their money more often than not, even after they scam a bunch of people. But again, so you got your breakout here. Sorry, a little bit of a rant there. That's your breakout, right? So where were we looking for liquidity? We were looking right in here, right? And you're probably like, well, how do you know? Blah, blah, blah. Look, all you're looking for ideally is somewheres of a retap of this liquidity right here. Now, granted, did you get the whole thing? No. Where should you be looking for optimal entries when you're at a bottom? Should you be looking at exactly at support, or where should you be buying? Does anybody know? If you guys don't, that's fine.
A little bit above the support line.
A little bit above. You hit the nail on the head. Exactly. You should always be looking for like a 5 to 10% gain so you don't get scalped out of your bottom. And if you're always looking at things like that and you're like, all right, we're going to come back into the trend, I'm going to buy at 10%, you would have caught the lowest low on NVIDIA. Just looking at liquidity, looking at where it traded, looking at the first rejection and knowing this is going to continue through to your previous support. And from there, you can catch the bounce. Now you have the breakout here, right? Which is doing what? So how were we able to identify that NVIDIA was going to go further? Here, I'll even make it easier for you guys. Right? I'll make it easier. If we went to here and NVIDIA closed here, it closed here, what would be your thoughts? Anybody?
It broke out a little bit above the top, right? So if you go back and you can see where the top was before, it broke out just a little bit, like the top of that last candle, it wicked out above it. So then, I mean, I think that's an indicator that it's going to keep ripping higher.
Exactly. And if you take things like this and you buy them relatively on the next open, again, you can see these things play out live, right? So you see right there, it's starting to pump. What is it doing here? What do you notice right here?
Yeah, the bottom of that candle is above that last support line, that last close. So I think that indicates momentum.
Exactly. That indicates support and momentum. But yes, mainly support is what you're looking at here. Now, you can use RSI, stochastic volume, all that good stuff, and it will help. It will help. But you have to understand your candlestick movements too. You have to understand when you're above support and when you're below support. Now, a lot of people here think that this thing's going to fail, right? They think this thing's going to go like this and roll back under. At what point should you cut your position? So I'll tell you, because I don't think many people know that. So at what point you should cut your position is 10% below, right? If you get a close, let's say you round trip this thing and you get a close that's 10% below the high here, you can expect some kind of retest into a failure, right? So what we call this is an invalidation of price. Always measure invalidations, not just looking for validation. This is validation, right? A move back below the low is invalidation, right? Now let's say it does this and closes up here. What does that do? So we've been validated, invalidated, and what will this be? Anybody?
Revalidated?
Yeah, you'd be revalidated again to go long. Now, granted, if this happens, there's probably something wrong with your support and resistance. I will say that because this doesn't happen very often, right? Like it's very rare you're going to see price invalidate then revalidate after validating the first time. So I would probably look at this like shit, I must be wrong somewhere and readjust my support resistance and be like, all right, I need to get above here before I can go long. Because if it continues to go here, what does that mean? Well, that means that price can sit here and do this, right? And you don't want to be involved with that on calls and bit or on calls and puts. Like this is not a good place to be. Or even if you're sitting there and you're buying an asset, right? Imagine trading just sideways for like months and months and months with no appreciation. So this is kind of how I view these things, right? So you always readjust if you need to. Again, this is how you can get better at charts. Use your monthly though, guys. Like I know we want to look. A lot of your traders are like showing you 4-hour charts and 8-hour charts. Like, oh, I made this 1,000%. Yeah, they put $10 in 50 times, and one of them hit that 50x, 100x that they put in. Like, think about the losses to wins there, right? And this is what a lot of people don't consider. They look at these things and they're like, they think it's just static. It's easy. Again, so we're on the weekly time frame here for the monthly, but I want to get back to the monthly because I think that's kind of important. I know this is long, guys. I know this is long. And we're going to do this more often too. It's not a one-time thing. So I didn't even notice we had questions. If you get a doji, yeah, we'll get into dojis later. I don't think dojis are as important right now because I think like that's something we should talk about at a later time because again, people misconstrue dojis and stuff too. So again, so now you're kind of reaching back up to the high. How do we know we're at a high? Let's say you didn't know. Let's say you didn't know. Well, I can use my RSI to tell me, right? How can I use my RSI to tell me where I'm high and where I'm not high? Well, we had a tap here and we had the same string tap here with what? Depreciation of price, right? And then price kind of ran up and we knew price was going to roll because you had the bear div that was even deeper here. Not only did you have this bear div, but you had the deeper bear div here. So you should have knew price was going to roll here. So price rolled, came back, hit into the range. Now, what did we play around here? What did we play around here, guys and girls? We played around the 50, right? So we played around the 50. Again, this is where you always want to watch price. What do you see here? You see a W formation forming, right? So what do you see here on the chart? Again, same thing on the monthly. Like you got to ignore like the noise and just look at things for what they are. Pattern chasing is very important. You have another W right there. So where should you be bidding long? You should only be bidding long from your low to your high, right? I know a lot of people want to play these all the way through. No. Only play between your two liquidity zones. That means your support to your resistance, get out. And then from here, let price prove itself because you would have sat here in a depreciating contract, right? And you might have got knocked out in reality here with this wick. And then from there, you're coming back into the range. Once you get back into the range, you can take new positions, right? So you can then move up to the high there again. So we're moving up to the high on NVIDIA. Expectations are based on where we are on the RSI that we're going to roll here, right? We're going to roll here. If I get invalidated, this thing's going to go through and it's going to go through in a big way, right? It's probably going to come back up and retap the high here, in which case it's going to come back and then trade higher, right? Now, I don't think it'll trade above the 100, but it'll just kind of play up here at the high, which means price continuation. And this right here would have been really bad if price would have just kept doing that. So price basically is going to come back, rebalance the move. It's going to rebalance all the previous price action. So where did the price action break out? It broke out here, right? So we should expect a rebalance of that price. And this is where people are getting messed up on Bitcoin because they're not looking where price got rebalanced on the left, they're looking at this right here and they're like, oh, well, this didn't get rebalanced. No, Bitcoin hasn't broken above all-time high. This has. So every time we get back up higher, we're going to come back into to rebalance price, right? Again, we're gonna break out in a big way here. And then now we're above all-time high, break out, rip, and then consolidate, rip, break down, rip, and then we're going to break down again. So we'll see that play out a little bit. And you can see, look, you got a double rejection right here too. All right, so this gets us the highest. This is going to get a lot of people right up here. All right, we're just going to skip all that. So anyways, rebalance, all the move, swing back in, high, rebalance the move, swing back in high. And in reality, I think we're going to go much higher on NVIDIA because I think what we need to do is we need to look at this from this aspect. From the highs here. So we have two highs to go off of here. And so expectations are that NVIDIA can probably get up to this trend again, right? We have the RSI, kind of very telling of the same story. So what you want to do is you want to kind of get this thing angled correctly to where it's kind of touching it as much as it can. Across the RSI, you have a pretty big gap here. You have a pretty decent gap here. My anticipation is that NVIDIA trades back into the range. Now, NVIDIA is going to fail in a big way here, or it's going to break out from here, right? Which would mean you need structurally both of these two to be kind of matching each other. So this is always something to watch for. So you should always have kind of two theses, right? I can short here once it gets back to trend and expect a breakdown. But if I'm wrong, I need to cut my short and flip long if we end up breaking out. Now, granted, you're going to lose a little bit of money on that trade, but it's much safer than bullshit, right? It's much safer than saying it's definitely going to go up. It's definitely going to go down. So invalidation is price gets above this trend. I get invalidated on downtrend. Now, if I'm looking for a short, invalidation on uptrend is if I start to reject on this trend, then I would be invalidated on uptrend, and uptrend probably won't come to fruition. Now, here's the thing. I would not go long on this trend personally. I would go short on this trend because I would expect 1, 2, 3, 4 times we've rejected there, and that will continue to reject into price suppression. Now, what's price suppression? It just means that bouncing ball effect, right? So lower and lower highs until you're compressed, and then you break out. So you can see right here, the lows are pretty obvious here on NVIDIA. So I'd expect that price will probably do this, peak, come back into the range, peak, come back into the range, peak, come back into the range, and then some big breakout somewhere's over here. Now, granted, that may occur much later, or it may occur now, right? It just all depends. Somebody just drew on here. Hold on. Let me get rid of that. Annotate clear. So yeah, that's the overall when it comes to kind of viewing directional change in markets. And you can see here, like, I have a different viewpoint than a lot of people. And people look at these things and they're like, oh, bear trend, oh, this, oh, that. And it's like, you're not really looking at what's going on here. You're just looking at this thing from one side and you don't have a thesis for both. So how are you being open-minded about trend, or are you just, bullshitting people at the end of the day? Confidence is not in being right about everything. It's about having a plan for everything that can happen. That's always the best way to play these moves versus trying to come in and be like, hey, I'm always right. It's like, no, I had a plan for short side, just like I had a plan for that for long side. And I'm telling you this because I don't think anybody will honestly tell you guys that. I don't. I think most people will tell you, go market long, go market short, blah, blah, blah. And they're gonna just sit here and LARP about a lot of shit. Again, we stayed very high time frame on this meeting. But I do want to get into, I don't know how much time profits you have left if you're here. I do want to get into shorter time frames and kind of show you guys how this breaks down into that. But I don't know if she wants to continue, we can continue. If not, then we call it here and we get into that in another meeting.
I'm good. You are more than welcome to stop. It's been an hour and an hour and a half. It's been really informational, but it's on you. It's totally on you.
Yeah,
Don't feel obligated. You've been killer. You've been killer tonight. So to be honest, I appreciate, and everybody else appreciates already what you did for today. So we can call it and follow up for another one.
Yeah, I learned a lot. Thank you, bro.
Yeah,
Man, you did your thing, bro. Man, good shit. I've been in this motherfucker.
It's really hard for me to understand this shit, so thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Did you get anything from it, Six? That you couldn't get online?
Yeah, of course. Every it's a lot of things. Like I know how to read the market because I've been buying and holding crypto for a few years now. So it's like when that was pretty much my strategy before. Now shit. I just decided just to jump in and fucking trading. It's fun, bro. It's actually pretty fun, man. And the way you explain a lot of the things, especially when it comes to the trends and how you can actually read certain things without using indicators, because pretty much this candle's going to tell you everything you need to know if you pay attention. You just got to zoom out. A lot of people be zoomed in, bro, and the 1 minute candles, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, I am a lot of people sometimes, but it's just when you zoom out, you able to see other things that you otherwise wouldn't caught. You might see just a whole bunch of movement, but you take it to a monthly or even a weekly or a monthly, you'll be able to kind of see other things that you kind of slow down the chart pretty much.
Yeah, you slow down that speed, man. That's the part that a lot of people have problems with is they want to get fast, but like you got to know when you're near a top or when you're near a bottom, right? And that's the difficult part. Like here, like I was expecting a full on breakout because you had so much room to trend and on the high time frame. So like I didn't even have to look at the daily, weekly. Like I was just like, oh, this thing's about to freaking rip. I was like, people aren't even like they're seeing a build long and they think it's going to go short because they're on these lower time frames like daily or 4 hour, and they're like, oh, it's building long. That'll build long as it goes short. But no, in reality, if you look at it from the monthly standpoint, just draw a couple lines across it, man. Your low and your high, you can easily see you have tons of room here. Your RSI, again, tons of room here. But you have to use these things kind of like in confluence too, right? That's where a lot of people mess up. And you can see this thing's it's getting toppy on the high time frame, but it has room. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean, your volume is dropping, right? You're coming into trend. And then on top of that, where I think we'll land is we'll probably land somewhere in this range for a period of time. And that's where we'll kind of roll back into the range or break out. And so it's more about paying attention to like, is your volume picking up or is your volume dropping? Here, your volume was picking up while everybody was screaming that NVIDIA was being manipulated. I'm like, you guys are just idiots. You can see vol pick up. You can see strength pick up. You can see we're bouncing off the same exact low as all other times. Like, again, this is where high time frame really helps you out, because if you're here, what should you expect here? Once you touch it, you should expect the freaking bounce. Like, just some people say it's gambling or guess. It's not guessing at all. Like it's happened time and time and time and time and time again. I can point it out thousands of times across the chart. I mean, I can get into BLX. I'll give you guys this info too. Like this is not an indicator. I drew this out. But this is like your bear bull. So your first bear bull is kind of jacked, obviously, much shorter bull, more accumulation phase, relatively the same. Bull was also shorter, right? Bear bull was short. But from there, your bear bull accumulation has been relatively the same. So I literally took first cycle, dropped it on second cycle, dropped it on third cycle. And you can see right here, we're moving towards the end of that accumulation phase. Like this is the phase where you should just be buying things. Like you shouldn't even worry about any of these fucking people that talk shit about price. You should just be buying things through the accumulation phase, everybody keeps talking about this occurring, but look over here. Look at 2016. Look at 2015. Where was your big pullback? There wasn't one. Because everybody's betting on a black swan. Like it pisses me off when people use this as a reference. It's like, bro, it's not the same thing. There's no black swan right now. There's just not. Like you can use, oh, there could be. Yeah. I mean, there could be a lot of things, right? The whole world could get hit by an asteroid tomorrow, but what's the likeliness of that happening? It's very unlikely. And if it does happen, it's not going to matter anyways. We're all going to be dead. So it wouldn't matter. So again, people looking for black swan entries, it's just dumb. It's such a bad take. I would always be looking for this. I'll always be looking for this. I'm never going to look for a black swan because I think looking for a black swan is like trying to find a perfect match. It's not going to happen. But yeah, again, we're still in the accumulation phase. You can see right here on the BLX, we're basically just stair stepping up. That's it. We're just stair step. Like, why even worry about it? Price 38K? Who cares? Who cares? A 2-3%, 5% pullback. Again, this is what I keep trying to tell people. It's like the pullback is very small. What does it matter? It doesn't matter at all. You're not getting this. Like so many people are praying for this to happen. It's not gonna happen. And I say that with confidence because I've never historically seen a black swan happen like within more than a decade apart. I mean, if anybody can tell me a black swan that's yanked markets down that has been closer than a decade apart, I would love to see it, but I've never seen an example of it. If anybody can name another black swan that's happened in their life other than 2008, I would love to hear it. Again,
Well, I'm gonna come out and ask, because I'm still really new. What do you mean when you say black swan? That's a new term for me.
So like the 2000.com bubble, right? Where everybody said that all computers would stop, clocks wouldn't be able to spin, yada, yada, and the stock market sold off. 2008 housing crisis. Basically banks were giving out bad loans, yada, 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 so on and so forth. The 2020 pandemic, right? So 2019, 2020. We had the whole situation with that thing and it basically ripped the market apart more or less, for temporarily. So those are what we call black swans, but if you space them out, they're more or less 8 to 10 years apart. So we just had a black swan in 2020. Why would we get another black swan within a 4-year period?
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah. And I like I take things and I look at them very granular. Like I try not to overthink because I think a lot of people they overthink so much that they cause themselves to age 20 years, even though they're 20 years old. Versus just taking this thing as it is. It's an uptrending market. Buy things, expect them to appreciate. When people start talking about movie stars and stadiums, and get the hell out. Right, it's time to get out at that point. Like there's no this, that, mass adoption, blah, blah, blah. Like, I mean, mass adoption is going to happen, but don't get caught up in the narratives, right? And I mean, like, really heavy narratives. FTX station, all that stuff. Like, it was all the signals of a top, right? It was all the signals of a top. And I'm expecting our bull to play out just like all previous bulls. You can see right here. I'm expecting it to end September of 2025. That's where I expect it to end. You see right here, I literally just copied these over, guys. Like that's how simplistic I tried to make this, because I think people just overthink the easiest things. So if you're expecting it to end of September 2025, why would you sell now? Just out of curiosity. I mean, I know I sound like some kind of like crazy person sometimes, but I mean, the charts just show me what what it's showing me at the end of the day. That's all I can really tell you. Again, candlestick rejection here. A lot of people are looking at this like, hey guys, it's over. Look, if you look here at this wick and you look at this wick, they're very similar, blah, 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 blah. No, they're not. If you come over here and you look at this wick, and then you see the market trended right back up to it, then traded sideways, then look at this wick, and the market pulled back a little bit and traded sideways. And then we can look at wicks all we want, but the reality is that the market continued to trade beyond that, right? It continued to trade beyond that. And once you start getting into a momentum market, what does a momentum market look like? Well, it's green, 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 green. And we are getting to that side of the market. Now, if we close red here, I would expect that we're not going to take off yet. We're going to probably do this, right? And where's the halving? Well, the halving's right here. Look at that. Halving straight up. And if we're going to do this, and then guess where trend is? Oh, look at that. That's trend. Again, I don't like to make it look so crazy, but like we're gonna freaking pop off from here. It's like I'm expecting roughly in the ranges of price six. I want to say 6 trillion, right? That's probably where I'm willing to dial out, and that's your total one. That's all of crypto combined. I think we'll be at 6 trillion by end of market. I got some buddies I'm talking to. They think 7 trillion roughly, which could be very likely too.
2025?
Yeah, somewhere's in there. Yeah, we'll be at 6-7 trillion. And if you look at total right now, and granted, a lot of people don't realize that all it takes is like a small percentage of that in some small coin, right? And that small coin could do thousands of exits. It doesn't mean go out and speculate on everything. Charts are the best way to look at things, but if we were to look at this from like a total standpoint, I think I got these on here. Let me see. Let me find the total. Yep, right here. So this is the total, and this is the chart I showed people, man. I was like, look, guys, this isn't difficult. And I made it like so kind of childish so people can understand. So I did like the half circle top, showing you where the top was. Look, you had the easy support right there. This is like one big circle. And then you had the circle out bottom, right? You got to kind of ignore the bullshit here. You have the top end trend, right? And the second you break that top end trend, it's off to the races. Now, some of you are like, well, you're below the high here. Yes, because I wanted to touch as many points as I could through here. It's kind of like your angled POC trend, right? Your bear trend. As long as you remain below this trend and continue to use it as resistance, it's now done, right? And the second you broke out, you were in an uptrend market. Again, over here, what are we seeing here by total? What are we seeing here? Very similar. Now, some of you may be like, well, what about you missed all? No, I didn't miss anything here. This is a deviation, right? This is a deviation of the high. This right here on the overall trend was a bear trend, right? It was a lower high bear trend. So expectations were that this was the original high. This is where hype was the highest, and so on and so forth. People had conviction on their holds here. That's why volume was able to be lower and price was able to go higher because of the conviction on the holds, right? In reality, you had the drop down, you had the breakdown right here, right? You had your bull bottom. And again, your bottom occurred at the same positions, right? Same positions. Two different charts, two different areas of liquidity, 2 different times. Your bottoms occurred at the same positions. So your bottom occurred here. Your bottom occurred here. That's why when people talk about, oh, the bottom's not in, we're going to 10K. It's like, no, you have no clue. because we did the same thing over here, ramped up, and look at where we're at. Look at where we're at. Look at where we're at. Why do you think we're getting resistance? What do you think happens the second we get above here? It's off to the races, guys. Like you're barely in the mid market right now. You're barely in the mid market. Again, this is total. It's different from Bitcoin. So this dictates the entire crypto market cap. We can see right here we broke out. We could certainly come back and like maybe range here, and you can see total's going to do the same thing I was talking about with Bitcoin. Total's literally going to do this. And it's going to sit here and it's going to capitulate this area right here. While a lot of people look for much lower. And how do I guess that? How do I know that? Look right here. Look right here. We played well above the high here, right? Well above it. We didn't come back into it. We just basically played above it. We're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to chop into the range and then we're going to break. And that's going to dictate our market. We'll be able to see the top pretty easily, I think. And you can see here too, we do have depreciating interest in the overall market, even though market cap goes up on strength, you have a bit of a depreciation there or a bit of a bear dip. This is why, like, ultimately, I guess my ultimate thought here is with this, I'll get into this and we'll kind of end it here. My ultimate thought is into this is that this ends up being something like this, except crypto continues to get compressed and then boom at some point, right? Real adoption. So Bitcoin continues to get compressed, crypto continues to get compressed, and then take off at some point. We get a big adoption wave at some point. So I'm going to be here to the end. Because this is my thoughts on the overall market. But yeah, keep the total chart up though. If you guys are looking at market, you're well above your trend. Your bear market bottoms in. You're basically just trending above that, and you're going to be looking to launch relatively soon. I'd use that as my thesis. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the day, guys. We'll get into lower time frames next time. We'll get into more chatter around, I'll come in with like the real class type setting for you guys. Today was kind of a wing it, see how people feel, see who shows up, so on and so forth, and hopefully we can get more people next time. 6, you can go yell at them, tell them to come. We'll deep dive it a lot more.
Thank you, Will. I appreciate your time. This was recorded, so I'll get this in the Discord for you guys soon, and you guys can look over it. Have a good weekend, everybody. Be safe. Thank you again, Mr. Will. We appreciate you.
For sure.
Take care, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you, Will. Thank you, Prophets.
Thank you, Will.
you.
Thank you, Prophets.